This week in Grace's Girls Club, I'm very excited to introduce you to our next guest because she holds a position we've never interviewed before on Grace's Girls Club. So I want you to welcome Mary Grace. Mary Grace, welcome. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your title and the company you work for.
Hi, I'm Mary Grace. I work for the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Our office is up in Virginia, but a lot of us now telework from home. And I work as a battery and fuel cell patent examiner. I'm currently a junior examiner, which means that my cases or my research reports that I send out to the applicants and whatnot, I still have to be reviewed on that. But I'm currently going through a program to where I become a primary so I can do all of my own work without review.
Well, how about that? Congratulations to you as you embark on that. That is
It's
exciting.
really fun.
Oh, that's awesome. So talk to me a little bit about the day-to-day of your job. Of course, I've seen a million patents on places like Shark Tank and looked at getting a few myself and for those that I know, but don't really know much about what goes on inside the patent office. So walk me through a little bit about your job.
Yeah, so when it comes to an applicant making a invention or something, they'll basically send us a research paper in a sense, explaining their entire invention. And then they have a subset of something called claims, which are just sentences essentially that define what structure or what method or chemical composition they want. And that the claims are what they're getting protection on. And so as an examiner, I read through all of the research paper, any pictures they provide to just understand what they're doing as a whole and what their invention is. And then I go to their claims and see what words, terms, descriptions they're wanting protection on that explains their invention. And I will go and look through all the different other patents, all the patent publications, research papers from like academia and stuff. I'll look through all of those that are along the same lines or in the same vicinity of what is being attempted to be patented. And I'll basically write a report saying, hey, what you've made is new because it's not in any of these other arts or nothing comes close to it. Or I'll say, hey, actually, these arts make, your invention not really new. It's obvious to put these two things together, so a patent can't be granted at this time. And I'll send that out where the attorney for the applicant can come and argue back, or they can change their claims to be more narrow so that it is closer to their invention, but not so narrow that they can't use it within the industry.
Right.
And so it's a lot of researching, a lot of reading, a lot of writing, and then also communicating with attorneys back and forth. But it's really cool because it's like puzzle solving all day. If I can't find it, that means there's a patent, and it's wonderful. Innovation is just growing, and you can see all the new arts coming out. But at the same time, if it's not, novel, if it's not, not obvious, then you don't want to cause litigation down the road where, you allow something and somebody says, no, we're already doing that. And so then their attorneys have to go back and forth through the courts or whatnot to get that done. So it's really a balance between you don't want to reject everything, but you have to reject the things that you do have to reject, or you're going to cause more people money down the line. And you also want to give protection to the people who have created something wonderful and new. So it's a long-winded way of answering that.
No, absolutely. I mean, it sounds like you're really the gatekeeper, and I think you summed it up in that last sentence perfectly. You're trying to help people reach their dream with new inventions, but you're also trying to protect those who have already been there as well, with them keeping their information proprietary. So I'm sure there's a pretty wide range, but the process you just mentioned of going through all of that, exactly how long does it take you to grant someone a patent? Give me a ballpark.
I think it depends. There are some applicants who prefer to go as broad as possible in their claims, and so a lot of stuff could read on their claims. So to get those sufficiently narrowed down, I've worked on cases for 2 years, I think, because keep in mind, we'll send out a response that's supposed to be a response from an attorney supposed to come back in 3 months.
Wow.
Sometimes they have up to 6 months, or they can file an extension. So I'm waiting for the case to come back. So I can't make a response until I get a response back and see what they've amended or see what they've argued or whatnot. So it can take anywhere from probably a year to 2 years, I think, when I get the application. Sometimes I know that we have a lot of cases right now. I'm seeing cases from 2021, 2022 when they were filed.
Mm.
So when you first file it, it's probably going to be several years before it actually gets on an examiner's docket, just because of the amount of cases that are out there.
Yes.
Versus the amount of examiners. But when I see a case, when it comes to those that are allowable, it can be anywhere between a year to 2 years on average.
Wow. Wow. That's a great deal of time to have to stay focused and up to date on all of that information. So I want to ask you, you have kind of an interesting role here where part of what you're doing, like you said, is almost very law heavy, very legal heavy. The other part of it, though, you're understanding inventions and understanding terminology, and that is very STEM heavy. Do you feel like you use STEM frequently?
Every day. I'm placed in the battery and fuel cell art, and I didn't do any research in the battery or fuel cell art during college or anything. And I had to basically learn the details of it, because there's a general knowledge of batteries or electricity. You have a negative electrode, a positive electrode, electrolyte. So there was that general knowledge. But when it comes to the pieces of the batteries that aren't necessarily commonly known, such as the active material and what goes into it, or for fuel cells, I had almost no experience in fuel cells at all. Even though they're similar to batteries, they work completely differently, such as like hydrogen goes in, air goes in, and I had to learn that concept from the backbone. But then there was a lot of stuff from college that I did know, such as the chemistry behind it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we get active materials where they're explaining what is the electrode made of. And so I rely on a lot of the chemistry classes I've been in for mass transport specifically. And sometimes I work on cooling systems for batteries. So when we learned about heat exchangers and whatnot, I use that pretty much every month. And so a lot of the engineering or science knowledge that I gained from college, or also just researching through the job, it takes a lot of that to be able to understand the technology as a whole, so that now that I have a battery in front of me, I understand pretty much how it works. I just have to read through their entire, specification, the research paper, to fully understand how their invention is different than other batteries or whatnot.
Right.
If that answers correctly.
Oh, it sure does. So it sounds like you use the S for science the most. Would you agree with that?
I agree. Engineering wise, in the STEM acronym, I feel a lot of it could come from heat exchangers, or, yes, more structural cases where they have me make, they're claiming a housing, or how something, is tinkered to a way where it's connected in this way versus this way. That sometimes comes in, but I find the science and the chemistry based ones are ones that I see more frequently. Mm-hmm. in my position where I'm working. So
yeah, absolutely. That is so cool. And that's why I was so excited to have you on, because you're a woman in STEM, also a little bit of a woman in paperwork and law and writing. You don't often see those things add together too well. So that is incredibly cool. So walk me through, if I'm a young girl and I'm watching this thinking, oh my gosh, I just have to do this. This sounds so cool. Walk me through educationally how you got to where you are today, what degree you have, and then what advice you might have for another young girl looking to follow in your footsteps.
Yeah, so I went to the University of Alabama in Huntsville, and I got my degree in chemical engineering. I did a concentration in biotechnology, but I don't use that much nowadays. However, it was helpful to have some of the extra chemical knowledge that came with that. I know the other track was polymers, and that would have been useful too. There's nothing wrong with that. That was just not the path I chose. But in general, I went through a chemical engineering program. And during that program, I got the opportunity to intern with the Office of Technology Marketization. I'm probably saying that wrong, but an Office of Technology Marketing on campus. And they basically explained to me patents and patent law, and which is what got me interested. So I would just say, if you're interested in becoming a patent examiner, there are plenty of different degrees you could get. I know some people in just batteries and fuel cells who've gotten degrees in metallurgy. I know somebody who has a degree in pharmaceuticals. Any kind of science-based degree has a patent utility. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to understand the chemistry or the biology. We even have biology biology majors who work here at the patent office. So any kind of STEM degree I find can get you there. So if there's something in STEM that you're interested in, whether it be biology, whether it be mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, chemistry itself, metallurgy, anything like that, it can be useful for a patent examiner job because you'll have that backbone, that knowledge to not only understand the inventions that are given to you in whatever place you're set in, but also it helps you have the mindset of problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
So I think getting any kind of STEM degree would be helpful. And if you get into any kind of internships that or know anybody who is a patent attorney, patent agent, any kind of legal patent marketing, I think that would be an amazing gift to have as well.
Absolutely. So I want you to expand a little bit on how you went from being a chemie in college to now all of a sudden having this interest in working in the patent office. Exactly what was attractive to you about blending those two fields together in the way that you did?
Yeah. So when I was at my internship, I I didn't I knew patents were a thing, but I guess I never, connected the fact that STEM degrees could be patent attorneys or patent attorneys tend to be those with STEM degrees. I knew inventions came from, innovation and engineering and science, but it never clicked. And when I was at this internship, um, we basically had a patent attorney who would come in and work with the professors and those doing research at the college to see if what they were researching or what they were inventing would be viable for a patent. And I didn't realize that was possible. So I began talking to my boss and then talking to the attorney, and they explained that patents or patent examining or patent attorney, it's kind of like a big triangle where it's STEM, law, and business all blended together into this one unified thing. And it kind of connects all of these different people together. And it just amazed me. And I had a friend named Sheila who was amazing. And she mentioned, you could be a patent examiner. You're getting a STEM degree. That is something you could do. And I was amazed. I was like, are you serious? This sounds so cool. And so she actually helped me apply. And when I realized that it was a lot of reading, which I love. It's a lot of writing, which I love. And it's kind of puzzle solving in a way, trying to find, is this obvious? Is this not obvious? I found that to be so exciting. And so when I applied and I got a call back, I was so excited. I think this job is amazing.
Man, girl, you are an engineer. You said, I just love solving problems.
It's so much fun.
Troubleshooting is so much fun. My goodness. You would have gotten along with me and my friends in college. That's the same wavelength. So you might feel like you just answered it in your last sentence there. And if you did, please tell me. But walk me through what the best part of your job is. Is it that troubleshooting, that problem solving, those combos of those subjects, or is it maybe something else?
I think it is the problem solving. I think I really do enjoy that. I also find that being a patent examiner, a lot of it's independent work. I do have to have a review, and I do call up my reviewers or primaries who have mentored me, and there's a lot of mentorship there. But as you go up the ranks and as you get more self-sufficient in the job, it's a lot of just reading and writing and, being your own entity. We do represent the office, but I find a lot of my work is a lot of independent work. I have to be the one to set my schedule. I have to make sure that I hit the amount of cases I'm supposed to look at this week. And I like having that independence because it means if there's no meetings, I can also step away for a moment and say, you know what, I'm going to take an hour lunch because I'm not required to, be on call with someone all day. And so I find that that's also a very great benefit to the patent office itself. Is just amazing in flexibility and in problem solving. Both of those combined, I feel like just give me a reason or a purpose to get, work. It's just amazing.
Oh, I completely agree. That's part of the reason that I like my job as on TV meteorology. In my role, yes, we're a team. Yes, I work in an office with everybody, but I don't have my bosses standing right behind me telling me exactly what information to say on air, and I don't have them feeding me that. So there is that level of autonomy. And for people like us that enjoy responsibility from right out the gate in your career and feel up to the task, that is a great part of the job. It's an absolute perk.
Oh yeah. It's amazing. It's great. And having the flexibility to just feel like accomplished, like I had a to-do list and I got all of this done. It's just a sense of relief and a breath of fresh air. And knowing that like it's all on me also makes me want to do the best I possibly can for the job. I don't want to, I can ask for help always. This office is full of amazing people who are, mentors and helpers. But knowing that I can do it on my own and set my own schedule is just a benefit that I never thought I'd be able to have in a job. And I'm so blessed to have now.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so awesome. So not to bring up the bad stuff, but if that's the best part of your job, what is maybe one of the most challenging parts of your job?
Honestly, there are some weeks that are very stressful. I'll have weeks where it's great. I have cases that I understand completely. I'm able to find art, or it's very, they're allowable and I know it and have all of the reasons why it's allowable, all of the art that's close enough, but not enough to meet their claims. But some weeks, there are cases that are just more complex than other cases you've seen. And it takes longer to read the specification and to fully absorb and understand what this technology they have is actually doing. And so that can take a lot of time. And, you only have a bye week for a certain number of cases to be done. You want to make sure, you're doing them efficiently. And, that extra time taken to read and understand is kind of eats into the time you have to write. And so that can, heighten stress. Also, when it comes to, looking up art, sometimes, something is obvious. Like it'd be obvious to add a cup holder into a armrest chair. Mm-hmm. You have something similar to that, it's obvious, but you just can't find somebody explicitly stating that. And so you're, in your head, but you can't just say, oh, it's obvious. I know it's obvious. You have to actually have proof that it would be obvious. It's proof that this specific thing is known. It's known that a armchair has a cup holder in it so somebody can have their soda next to them while they're on TV. But you actually have to find that so that you have something to back up your claim. You're not just like willy-nilly, oh, this is obvious, you can't have a patent. You have to actually make sure that everything on the record is clear and concise so that anybody, whether it be a judge, attorney, or anybody who's looking at it, they have evidence and proof to back up, especially if it goes into litigation, which we don't ever know unless I guess you follow your cases very strong. But I've never heard of any litigation with any of my cases, and I'm not sure any other patent examiners that actually like look it up. But we do have training where it says, please be clear and concise and put all your thoughts, all your proof on the record and be detailed so that on the off chance it comes in front of a judge or it comes to an attorney that might have to work with it, they need to know exactly what you were thinking. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes finding that art can be really hard. Because I guess in general, it can just be really hard to find that art. So that adds to stress too. So cases can take longer than you allotted for them. For example, I could say, oh, this case is going to take half a day. I can get 2 cases done. And a case takes all day. That gets really hard and can be quite discouraging. But you have to remember that, you're doing the best you can do. And that's all you have. You only have the best you can do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's a really good message and a very legitimate struggle. I talk to a lot of women and they say, well, my biggest struggle is everything that hits my desk is priority 1. And if everything is urgent, nothing is urgent, and yours is quite the same, I could totally see how, okay, this is so obvious. You can't have a patent for this. I know this information has to be somewhere. Why can't I find it? I could see that would be very difficult. So I do want to let you get back to it just in case you have any of those cases today, which I hope you don't. I'll be praying that you don't. But just in case, I just want to ask my last question. If you had a message to any young women or any young students in general that wanted to go into the STEM workforce one day, what would your advice, what would your message to them be?
I would say start early. I think the earlier you can start, whether it be those little, what are they called? The little kits, the science kits at Walmart yes. or Hobby Lobby or Target. I loved those as a kid. And that only fueled my desire. The microscope and some of the, you would mix certain things together. I found those so cool. So if your kid or you as a young person are really interested, those are a great place to start to just learn to see, do I like maybe crystal formations, or do I like, microscopes and biology or anything like that. I think that's a great place to start. And as you get older, I think reading and watching shows that are dedicated to maybe science. I know there's a lot of great people on YouTube who just explain stuff and tell you different things about how, a car might work, or how a battery might work, or, what new things in science have come out. I think that's a really great place to just see what you're interested in. If you find a video and you're like, oh, wow, I really like this, and you keep watching more, I think that's a better idea of what STEM is, or maybe even what particular area that you'd be interested in. And I think if you get the opportunity in maybe high school to take different STEM classes, whether it be biology, physics, chemistry, or any of those, I think it's great to just take the classes and see what's there, and see if if something in you ignites to where you just fall in love with the place that you're meant to be.
Absolutely. I think that's outstanding advice. I could not agree more. And I think very practical too, something that these middle and high schoolers can look at today and put on their class schedule starting next semester. I love it. Well, Mary Grace, thank you so much. Our chemical engineer by trade working in the patent office. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome officially to Grace's Girls Club.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. It was so great to have you. I hope you have a wonderful day today.